What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers, and I wanted to do a quick update here on a company that we were talking about for a while, was doing very well for us, and now as we see has taken another leg higher, hitting another 52-week high, and in my opinion on our way up now to the first trend line that we drew out over 6 months ago. Name of the company we're looking at, Rolls Royce Holdings, ticker symbol RYCEY on the over-the-counter OTC markets. Right now, the stock $2.41, still up 3 cents, roughly 1.25%. Hit a new high 243. Yesterday, I think 235 was the new high. And basically, the company comes out and says that surprise profit forecast upgrade, margins are increasing nicely, and of course, as we see here, Deutsche Bank boosts their price target, affirms buy rating. So we have a lot of positive news coming out on Rolls Royce, and as you see, we chunked up here, to this 240 level, and back here, January 9th or 10th, that's where I made the video. The stock was roughly $1.20 a share. So if you watched the video or got in before the video as it was climbing or right after the video here, you are up roughly anywhere from 90 to 100%. Now again, it is nice to make a quick 10-15% flip on some scalp trades, However, if we're talking about you and you have a sizable amount to invest, now believe it or not, when I say sizable, especially with a stock as cheap as this, that was only $1 and change a share when we looked at it, if you have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, this is a situation where you step in, you put a chunk into shares of the stock, and you wait 6 to 12 months for it to at least completely rebound and make you potentially 150, 200% returns. We still don't know where it is. Again, 6 to 12 months has been about 6 months. So could definitely keep climbing. But again, I understand that the option plays and the short-term day trades and the quick flips and the scalp trades, those are very intriguing, gives us that blast of dopamine, and, we see profits immediately. We want to get in and out, make fast money. Totally understandable. However, remember, it is more about the conviction as well. In my opinion, I had very, very high conviction on RYCEY when it was down at $1.20 a share. I drew out multiple trend lines here for you guys. The first one's 254. Again, we're going up to 330, potentially up to 504. And this next trend line is about 690. So, of course, over time, the company could definitely climb all the way up and continue to break out and get to that highest trend line of almost $7. But in the short term, I had very, very high conviction and very high confidence that this company, again, brand name company, they produce engines, they got beaten up over the years. Wall Street completely crashed them down, took the stock down to sub $1, and we just knew that that was too low. So essentially, this is almost FUBO all over again. The difference with FUBO was, as the money began to roll in and they started to beat revenues and consistently increase in revenue, they were still bringing the stock down. So we knew that we were getting shares at even a greater discount today than we could have had them at yesterday. So that's why the whole time on the way down, in my opinion, FUBO was a buy. And then when we saw the reversal coming in, and we saw, the revenue and the earnings consistently coming in and beating estimates, we knew that we were going to have a winner on our hands. FUBO ended up working out very well for us. But that is basically the same situation that we had here with RYCEY, RYCEY. Again, at $1.20, in my opinion, I laid out that this company, especially in the numbers, was significantly undervalued. And as they say, when everyone is fearful, you have to be greedy, and vice versa. So everyone was selling. No one was talking about Rolls Royce. Everyone felt like it was a dead company. These people are crazy, right? They aerospace defense stock, design engines, get government funding. There's no way this company was going to go anywhere. So what do? We buy the dips, and if you want, right now you can sell the rip. Right? So again, it's been about 6 months. If you did get in when we made the video, you're up roughly 100%, nice clean double on your assets. And if you want to take the money and run here, that is entirely your own prerogative. In my opinion, it could potentially calm down maybe for a little bit. We did really just have a nice pop. However, that next trend line, 254, in my eyes right here, is definitely doable and is probably going to happen sometime soon. If we look at the RSI down here, though, you can see that we've basically topped out because, of course, the stock chunked up and has taken another leg higher. But we do have some good news here again. Profit forecast upgrade. Margins have been increasing. Got Deutsche Bank, affirms buy rating, increases price target. So the company's coming out with a lot of positivity here and pumping up to new 52-week highs, 243. Justified, in my opinion. These are the types of companies where these moves are justified in my eyes, right? Because if we go back here, even though revenue has slipped, as we see here, it has been rebounding since COVID. And last year for 2022, 16.65 billion in revenue, and the company only has a market cap of 20.1 billion. So even doubling from this level and going back to about $5 would bring the market cap to about 40.5 billion and change, we'll call it, and that would still be only about 2.5, 2.6 times yearly revenue, which, as we've seen compared to a lot of other companies, really isn't that high of a multiple. So that's why watching this stock over time now, slowly climbing up into the 3s and the 4s and potentially back to this 5 trend line, definitely doable in my opinion. I still have pretty high conviction on the stock. I had it the whole time, and of course they come out with the good news here. Profit forecast upgrade, again, they're getting the price target increase. Fantastic, phenomenal. We're going off to the races. The only problem is right now in the short term, the immediate short term, if you're asking me now watching the video, okay, the stock went from $1.20 to $2.40, do I buy today? In my opinion, I would rather, if I was on the sidelines this whole time, in my opinion, I would rather let it run to 254 and then reject and chill at that trend line, let the RSI come back down to earth, then I will step in and go long again. Even if they bring it up to 254 and then kind of like bring it down right back here to 240 and then just kind of let it chill out for a little bit, right? Let the RSI calm down a little bit. Let all of the technicals line up again so that it'll be ready now to take the next leg higher. It will no longer be viewed as overbought or overinflated. And, in my opinion, it'll all work out. We switch over here to stock charts. You look at the daily, you can see RSI jumped up to about 82.25. Now, as you see last time here when the company began to break out and climb, it really just kept going. And you can see the RSI hit almost 90 actually and stayed up for several days in a row, about 2 weeks straight actually. So only time is going to tell. However, in my opinion, again, flattening this out or just slightly bringing it up to that 254, both moves are completely justified. But again, if you're trying to scalp this real quick, I don't know if I would advise you to step in here at 241 because I don't know how quickly that trend line of 254 will happen for you. So I don't want you to think that you're getting involved and it's just going to hit the next trend line and then all of a sudden, it flattens out, it cools off, and, it may take several weeks instead of you thinking, it was going to take a day or two. So just keep that in mind. RSI obviously shot up with the rest of the stock, but you can see, look at that tightening that was taking place. That's why I knew the last time I looked at the stock when I saw this tightening here in the Bollinger Bands, it's only going to be a matter of time before the stock chunks higher, and then, of course, they come out with that positive news, that positive forecast, and that's what pushed the stock higher. You can see here now on the weekly, we have significantly broken out above that top Bollinger Band, and the RSI, even on the weekly, is now sitting here at 82.25. Now, again, going back to March when it was rallying, the RSI did stay well above 70 for quite some time here on the weekly. However, past performance does not dictate future results. So you can't just go back and say, oh, well, look at this, so it's going to keep going higher. That's really not the way you should play it. I understand this is very positive news. However, again, a lot of these technical indicators are now out of whack. So should it keep going to 254? In my opinion, yes. Should it immediately go to 254 and it's going to be there by tomorrow, Monday, hands down? In my opinion, no. Because now, again, we're potentially at these overbought levels. So if the stock starts to pull back and all of a sudden it's at like 220 in a couple of days, believe it or not, it would be justified. I know they just came out with good numbers, but let it calm down for a second. I'm sure a handful of people are taking profits. Again, just in the last 6 months since we looked at it, the stock is up 100%. So if you got into this stock recently even, you're probably up a clean, 25, 30, 40%. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to potentially take profits here in the short term. And I feel that it could just calm down before it takes its next leg higher. The MACD looks like it has crossed here on the weekly, but of course that's a pretty big chunk here. Stock's up 23.5% this week alone. So again, could it keep climbing? Yes. Could it sell off and drop down? Yes. So again, in my opinion, if you missed the party, or if you just found the channel, so you didn't have a lot of confidence in me, a lot of faith in me, totally understandable, absolutely. But again, now you can see that we're kind of on the right track here when we look at these longer term plays, because I always say the shorter term plays, the less time you want to give something to make more money, you are now being very speculative, and you are now entering uncertainty and high volatility, right? But if we, again, go back in our time machine 6 months ago, and you asked me, oh, what do you think of Rolls Royce? I would have told you, you can go pretty heavy, you can put in thousands, tens of thousands, potentially six figures if you have it, and over time, in the next 6 to 12 months, you will be profitable, and this will rebound. And that is exactly what happened. So this is why I always say, when I first started the channel, it was definitely more about long-term investments. And again, I know I try to, catch some tech patterns, and I try to draw out some trend lines, and I'll occasionally throw up a video about a short-term trade. I do try to call out some scalps and some day trades and some week trades in the Discord. However, even if you come in and speak to the people in there, they will attest to you that it is not all, sunshine and lollipops. When you're dealing with shorter-term investments, you are now at the mercy of the markets. And as much research as we do, as many fundamentals and technicals may line up, we can always step in, buy calls, buy puts, and then the stock immediately reverses and starts to trend in the opposite direction. So if you want higher reward, you have to understand that you are taking much, much higher risk. So on the longer term investment side, we may be right, 85, 90% of the time, which is phenomenal, obviously. That's a phenomenal success rate. But now we switch over here to the short term. Now we're trying to do scalp trades, day trades, weekly trades. All of a sudden, you see the success rate drop to like 60%, maybe 70%. Reason being, the higher reward, the higher the risk. So that's why I want you guys to really start to differentiate, not even differentiate, just really listen to what I'm saying. Because see, what I'm seeing is the problem is with a lot of these videos, people tune in, they'll catch the symbol I'm looking at, they'll listen to one or two things, and then they'll click off. And as you see, you can tell by the way that I'm making these videos, this is not pre-scripted. I don't type any of this out and just read off another screen. Sometimes you watch those videos and the people, it almost feels like you're watching AI. They're just sitting there, just emotionless, just kind of rambling off a script. So the stock is at this level, and the next level is going to be this, and in 3 months we think it's going to be here. I'm not reading off a script. I'm completely going off the top. And sometimes I do go off on a tangent, because I want to try to instill to everyone watching here some of the lessons that I've learned, and even potentially some of the little phrases or theories that I picked up along the way that a lot of you need to keep in mind here. And sometimes, again, I'll completely go off on tangent. Even now, I'm talking about, risk reward and time frames, and all of a sudden we're not talking about Rolls Royce anymore. So that is why I implore you guys, do not just immediately switch off of the videos once you hear what you want to hear, or if you see what you don't want to see, so you just click off. Because again, some of these updates that I give, even recently on SoundHound or whatever, and Raytheon, they basically were just quick little update videos to let you know how I felt and where the stocks might be going. And that can all be done within 4 or 5 minutes. But if you go back, those videos are, 17, 18, 19 minutes long. Now, again, I know a lot of people don't like watching videos that long, so I apologize if some of them are a little more lengthy than you may be accustomed to. But again, on the flip side, if during that time frame, after supposedly I lose your interest in the video, if during that remainder I am giving you sound advice and trying to help you in the long run with your mentality, that is much, in my opinion, that is much, much more pertinent information then, oh yeah, the stock, Rolls Royce could go higher, it could hit 254. Yes, I understand you want the price target, you want to see what could potentially happen. Should you buy it? Should you sell it? But again, this career, this profession, if you're doing this full time, mentality is most important. I would say definitely, in my opinion, 80 to 90% mental this game is. Because when you go into a position, if you have high conviction and it immediately starts trending in the opposite direction, you have to remember why you bought it, why you had high conviction. You can't let the red numbers on the screen deter you from the play that you made or the trade that you're looking for or the investment that you believed in. So this is why I always say, I know what I know. We know what we know. Something like Rolls Royce, I knew that this stock was going to go higher. And now, again, was it slower than some other people on YouTube and in their Discord servers? Yes. Could you have made 10, 20% return flips, 4 or 5 times during the whole time that you were holding this? Yes, it's possible. Also, on the flip side, you could have taken 2 or 3 losses along the way with those 5 or 6 trades. However, if you stepped in at 120, I can now say that, in my opinion, it was essentially guaranteed in my eyes back at $1.20 that this stock was going to go higher. And now you see again, it's slow, it's boring, it's much less of a daily dopamine hit. However, I just doubled your money if you listen to me. And again, a lot of these Discord servers, I'm not knocking any other's channel, anyone else's Discord. They want to charge $20, $50 a month to give you people trades, whatever. That's entirely your own prerogative. If you want to listen to them, again, it's up to you. But at the end of the day, we knew at 120 that Rolls Royce was a buy. And now if you had some time, and of course you had some trust in the process, this is something that you wouldn't have had to look at every day. You knew you were buying a brand name company at a discount, and now you turn around 6, 7 months later, holy shit, the stock is up 100%. Excuse me. And just remember, if we keep going and the company is now turning everything around, rolling on all cylinders, now we're seeing increases year over year in revenue again, half over half. They report semi-annually. But you understand what I'm saying. If we're now seeing all of this take place, then we know now that we're only going to go higher over time. And if you just wanted to play the longer game, it would have worked out phenomenally for you with RYCEY. So that's why I'm saying, again, I understand options are fun. You get that dopamine hit. Holy shit, we just turned, $300 into, $1,200. Phenomenal. Believe me, I understand. I understand. However, again, if you bought Rolls Royce, when we made the video, we knew that we were going to double plus your money. And now it's come to fruition. And there's no going back, right? That's what sucks. There's no going back. So now, moving forward for the next 3 years, 5 years, you may never see $1.20 a share again. And now, if the stock, hopefully continues to rise and continue to do everything that they're doing, once it's up to the $4 level, the $5 level, all of a sudden it's going to start moving 10, 15, 20 cents a day. And, of course, going back to the original $1.20 cost basis, you are now making about 15 to 20% of your initial principal investment every day, as the stock is now climbing back to where it once was several years ago. Again, because you had the foresight to see a good thing coming, you knew that we were buying a brand name at a ridiculously cheap valuation. And if you're really paying attention to a lot of the videos here, that has been the trend. Again, as we're seeing with UAA, made the video at $7. It's at $8.15. Was it slow? Boring? Right? Yeah. Did it happen overnight? No. As it shouldn't. However, in my eyes, I knew I was right. I knew I was right. So if you gave me $1 million and I was running a fund for everyone watching this channel, at $7, catching that double bottom at 697 on UAA, inside of that channel that we spoke about, I drew out the projected path that it was going to climb back up to the 9s and the 10s soon. I would have been comfortable going all in on UAA at the low $7 level. Going back, again, I know it's a little bit of hindsight, but of course, you know, I tried to come across that way with that high conviction when I made these videos. And again, going back to Rolls Royce, when the ball dropped, $1.20, $1.30, I would have known, I would have had high conviction. I would have been able to go all in at 1.25. And now I am up almost 100%, right? So $1 million's now worth $2 million for my fund if I was managing it. Now, of course, you're not supposed to put 100% of your liquidity in one position, but of course, I was just speaking in generalities. I was just trying to prove a point to you guys. But even something like LAC, we've been talking about LAC, supposedly slated to be the largest lithium miner in all of North America, right? So obviously, once they start mining and actually bringing in revenue, this stock is going to fly to the freaking moon. And that is why, if you're in the Discord, anytime LAC really dips down to that $20 level, or right now, 1963, that sub $20 level, I always throw out a little reminder to everyone, because it seems as though the stock is really holding this high teens, low 20s level. So if that is going to be the bottom of the bottom, and then it's going to skyrocket when the lithium mining actually takes place, yes, I would feel comfortable stepping in sizably here on a situation like LAC for the longer term with very, very high conviction that it will all work out one day. But again, I know everyone's liquidity is different. Some people just want to day trade some options or even some shares. They don't like holding it for longer than a week or two. So I understand if everyone who sees this video did not, have an interest in Rolls Royce. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. But again, buying a brand name company that has been beaten up, that is now undervalued in the numbers, really seems to be one of the best ways to invest, not to trade. And we know this from experience because that's what Warren Buffett does. This is the Buffett method, and obviously he is one of the most successful investors. So you would be silly to not listen to his advice. But overall, Rolls Royce looking phenomenally well. Very happy to see that these profit forecasts are coming in above estimates, and now you're getting the buy ratings coming up, and you're getting the price target boost, and this is what is going to happen. That's what I mean. Same thing with UAA. UAA having options. UAA having earnings coming up soon, right? And you may see the same thing happen. Maybe because they've been beating up the stock and they've been bringing it down, now estimates are lower than they might have been. So now if the company is able to come in and beat expectations on earnings day, then obviously you're going to see an initial pop just because they beat earnings. But more importantly, over the next day or two, all of a sudden Bank of America is going to boost their rating to a buy, and now their price target's going to move from 950 to 11 or whatever it is. And the JP Morgan's going to come in and they're going to give it an overweight value in comparison to the overall indices, and they're going to increase their price target to $12, right? And it's all of these consistent positive catalysts and headlines that consistently increase stock price over time. And that is why, every quarter when a company like Microsoft comes out and says some good stuff and they post some healthy numbers, what happens? All of a sudden, everyone and their brother, oh yeah, now it's a buy. Now I'm upgrading to a strong buy. No, it's not going to 310. It's going to 335, right? So now everyone's increasing their ratings. Everyone's increasing their price targets. And you are now riding the wave and taking advantage of all these positive catalysts because you got in 50% cheaper than where the stock is currently trading, or whatever it is, 10, 20% cheaper than where it's currently trading, and now you're just riding that positivity wave. But Rolls Royce looking really good, new highs 243, next up in my opinion again, 254, however, it may not happen overnight. If you're involved with the company and you got in back down at sub $1 or the low $1, let us know down in the comments section, do a little bragging, because you, my friend, made a phenomenal decision stepping into shares of RYCEY. And I'm going to end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Like the video, thumbs up, algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. Share the video. And, of course, our handshake agreement. I have no problem giving you updates on long-term plays like Rolls Royce, Fubo, Under Armour, and I have no problem talking about potential short-term technical patterns setting up that we can take advantage of and try to day trade or scalp some calls or some puts on the situation. I have no problem reviewing any symbol you guys throw at me. I throw them on the board, and honestly, I do have a lot going on my end, so I apologize if I do not immediately get to the symbols that you guys have thrown out. Like I always say, if I haven't gotten to a symbol that you had pretty high conviction on or that you were very interested in, just do me a favor and just re-mention it. And, I'll put a little asterisk next to it on the board, and I'll make sure that that's one of the next ones that I get to. But, again, I will do all of that for you. All I ask, handshake agreement. If you're going to watch the content, ask for my advice, move on my recommendations. Again, I'm not currently charging anyone for anything. That Rolls Royce play again, you're up 100% in about 6 months. So, taking advantage of a situation like this, listening to my advice and making yourself a couple of bucks, hey, listen, that's fine. All I ask, if you're going to do all that, push the subscribe button. That is how you help me help you. But moving forward, more importantly, like I always say, I understand that markets are very rocky, they're very volatile, they're very uncertain. I want to wish everyone success, and I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Sorry if this video ran a little long. If you're still here, I love you. Thank you so much for listening. And I want to wish every single person the absolute best of luck. And I want you all to stay positive, stay confident, stay focused. Do not force trades. Take what the market gives you. Thanks for stopping by. Catch you in the next vid.